So, first human factors issue right here, okay? Boy, this is bad. Okay, so how many people, not these two people, know what human factors is? You don't count. What is it?
User-friendly, user experience design.
No. Anybody else? That's marketing. Go ahead.
How they interact with the device and the feedback for the usability.
I like the first part, not the second two pieces. Okay, so if human factors, we don't have enough of women in here. Any of the women go into the ladies' room up here? Did you know how to lock the door? You did. I didn't. Okay? There are things that we call affordances around. Things that show us what we should do and where we're going, etc. So, for instance, I've got this in my hand, and it has a green button and a red button. And the red button, have no idea what it means. Green, I guess, means go. So, we'll try. Okay. So, human factors is the use of human behavior, cognition, and physiology in order to design and build products that are safe, effective, and profitable. Okay? So, when we talk about that, people will say, well, what is usability? Isn't that what usability is? No, usability is the evaluation of your products for safety and effectiveness. Now, if you look at the FDA and you look at 62366, you look at any the MDR, whatever, they say human factors engineering, commonly called usability engineering, and usability engineering, commonly called human factors engineering. And we'll just use those two things synonymously. Let me tell you something. When you go to the FDA, they don't use them synonymously. When you get your letter that you haven't done it. Now, what happened to profitable? A lot of, the FDA doesn't, I guess, care about profitable, but it's very obvious. If the user can't use the product safely and effectively, it's not going to market, so it's not profitable. So, we have three elements. We have patients, we have revenue, and then, of course, we have compliance. And we have to juggle all three of those. Has anybody here had their device go through human factors testing? Anybody here have a class 2 device? Has it been on the market? And you didn't do human factors testing? You did? Oh, thank you. I was going to say, you don't want to say that too loud, but we don't have anybody from the FDA here. Okay. Or do we? Do we? Oh yeah, come on, really. Dan would like to see them now. Okay, so what we have to fit user needs. Marketing is responsible for coming up with the user needs. They go out, they listen to their customers, their patients, etc. And so they then come back and they say, we have to design something, okay? And let's see if this works. Yeah. I need to design a receptacle that will water my plants. That's what I need. I'm the user. That's the user need. What are the three elements from an engineering standpoint that you need to design that receptacle? Anybody?
Hold water.
What?
Needs to hold water.
Needs to hold water. Anything else?
Deliver the water to plants. Deliver the water to plants.
Deliver the water to plants. What else?
Understanding how many plants. Anything else can be considered.
Could be. Okay.
Tell you if something.
Ergonomics and usability, right?
No. What other item to build this? A handle, thank you. So you need a handle, you need a way to deliver it, and you need a receptacle, right? There. Will that do? But I got the user needs. I got all the elements. Does that do? No. And we would usability test it, and we'd find out very quickly that you're getting water on your feet, not on the plants, or maybe down your dress or whatever. So these are a couple of misconceptions. One is everybody feels that ergonomics or human factors is common sense. And they will cite certain things that they do. Okay? Well, a lot of work went into that. How many of you were alive or using telephones that had rotary dial? Right. Very simple to make a call, right? Pick up the phone, you heard the dial tone, you had the certain letters and numbers, the person answered on the other end of the phone. AT&T went through 15 years of testing what those numbers should be, what the hole size should be, how much it should go around, etc. And it worked. Then somebody said we wanted a push button. AT&T was not too happy about that, but they got it. They got it right. And then we got Motorola and Nokia saying, you want a cell phone. Well, what do you do with a cell phone? How do you make a call? How do you make a call? Come on.
Contact.
What?
Find your contacts.
Find your contacts, okay. Push what button?
Tap the screen.
Tap the screen. What else? You enter the number, right?
Press the green button to call.
And then press the green button to call. Then you get a dial tone. Then you know that the call is going. Completely reverse task analysis. Well, what would happen if you did that with a medical device? Completely rerouted the task analysis, the person's workflow, etc. I can tell you what would happen. It's called an adverse event. Okay? Okay. So this is a design control process. It's not rocket science, okay? It actually comes from some of the FDA guidances, but you can see that what it's telling you is to iterate your design. How many engineers do we have here? Okay, you iterate designs, right? But do you iterate designs with end users? I'm not going to ask for that, okay? Because it hasn't been the practice. This is when you should be doing different activities. So the FDA and the MDR both require what they call human factors testing. The FDA requires very explicitly summative testing. Now here's the gotcha. They have in their guidance a summary report outline. And the second or third item says, what did you do for formative testing? And you go, you only told me I had to do summative testing. NA? I didn't do it? You have to come up with something. Did you do formative testing? Yes. Okay, so you had something to put in there. Good. So many people come to us and say, in fact, I have a client right now. We have to do summative testing. Would you help us do summative testing? Sure. Where are you in the process? Where's your formative testing? We didn't know we had to do that. Okay. Do you have an engineering file, a usability engineering file? We have a QMS. Where's your usability engineering file? We didn't know we had to have that. If you look at the cost of doing these things late, that's what this graph is showing. So we're going to do their summative test. And I've already talked with a couple of people here saying, look, I foresee the possibility of a use error here, and they're not going to want to have to retest. I think your materials might be able to help them out. And I do that groundwork for them. But if that doesn't happen, or they have things that are a problem that they have to fix, and it's not what we call a final solution, one that does not have to be retested, they have to retest. Okay, we'll get to costs in a bit. Just keep that in mind, because they're going to have to retest with a summative test, and maybe another formative and a summative. Okay, we'll get to costs in the end. Here are all the human factors and compliance guidelines for FDA. We started out in 2010 with one, and it was a draft. And we lived with that until February, I believe, 2017, something like that, 16. Now it's no longer a choice. It was never a choice between 2000 and then, but now they have put in, they're very explicit. They did a better job of explaining what you're actually looking at. So we've now come to, instead of one, we have about now maybe 9 or 10. These are the main ones. Now what about the CE mark? Okay. As the gentleman before me talked about with the MDR, et cetera, May 26th, 2020 is the date when you are supposed to be compliant with MDR. Is it going to happen? Well, they have a couple of extensions. If you have a legacy product on the market, so I think it's over 15 years, if you can apply for a 4-year extension. But you have to human factors test it before May 26, 2020. You don't have to do the other stuff, but you have to human factors test it. If you have software or something, or you want to make changes, etc., you can do formative testing before May 26, 2020, and get a 2-year extension. Okay? Now, what's beyond me is that the 3 major notified bodies, just the 3 major ones, the regulatory people, employees that do the processing, number 70,000 employees. The FDA only has 10,000. I'm not sure what the holdup is. I'm not sure what the problem is, but there is a problem in getting your product, qualified, by your notified body. Brexit, the gentleman before, I just came back from Switzerland from overseas with clients. Brexit, Switzerland is not part of the EU, but they issue a CE mark. The UK is going to come to a agreement with the EU to be able to offer the CE mark. So that's inevitable. Otherwise, they will have to create their own notified body. It would be horrendous for them. And medical devices are the least of their worries. Okay, different methods. So, formative testing, you're going to validate user needs. So, you said there was a couple of people who had devices that they were talking about this morning. Where did you get your user needs? There was one lady who came up, and her user needs, she was very explicit, was from her husband and having experienced that. She found a user need. Where are you finding your user needs? Anybody? How did you find your user needs?
From user.
Yeah, but who did it?
So do the focus group on quantity data.
Right. Exactly. You got it from a number of different places, but you don't typically get user needs for a brand new product from human factors. What human factors will then do is validate those user needs. And there'll be structured meetings, structured focus groups, contextual inquiry, / naturalistic observations. You actually go on site and look at people using either related products or something close to what you have. So you were talking about the contact lens. You had to understand how people were inserting contact lens, et cetera, who had different eye problems, okay? And if you do that and you see what's going on, you can then build a better product. Then there's expert and heuristic reviews. We do a lot of these for software or for legacy hardware. We do a lot of these. And we'll get into what relative costs there are, but let's just say validating user needs and expert heuristic reviews take a lot less time than naturalistic observations or any formal testing, okay? Summative testing, here is the thing. You need to have a simulated use and environment. Have to. You have to have production-ready equivalent devices. I just went through with a client, and they said, "We'll give you a development machine. Is that okay?" No. Is that what you're going to sell? Well, it'll have everything on it. We'll go through all of the different tasks that they have to do and make sure that the machine works for those tasks. What's wrong with that? Anybody? My first user is going to do something that is outside the task. And what's going to happen to the machine? It's going to crash. And then what do I have to do? End the test. Okay? That costs money and that costs time. You need verified software. So I not only have a PhD in cognitive behavioral psych human factors, I also have another master's in systems software engineering, software architecture. And I know the difference between verified and validated software. You only need verified software, okay? Is there going to be training? Did you have training with your product?
What's the difference between verified and validated?
Okay. Come on, software. You're laughing. Tell him.
Verification of a system could be engineering verification, system verification, electronics engineering
Right.
specification. Validation is actual clinical therapeutic, and all come to.
So when you get to software, there's what they call unit testing and integration testing. And typically you're going to do a lot of unit testing, then you'll do integration testing. The first integration test that you go through to verify your software means that your software is about 95% correct for all the critical issues, etc. Okay? Validation, theoretically, should be what, 100%? Engineers help me? But it's not in actuality. It's usually 99.95% correct. When they say verified for medical devices software, it's going to cover all of your critical tasks, all of your high risk and medium risk, and you know that it works, okay? You have verified and verification and validation of your hardware. You need validated hardware, okay? So it's a little bit, it's different. Any other question? Oh, and ask questions as we go along because I promised Dan to try and cut 5 minutes, okay? I asked you, did you have training as part of your device?
Yes, we have IFU and we train the user to use it.
So you had a formal training for the users. Okay, so with training, what happens is you have a training session in the summative, and then you have to have a delay period, and then you bring your participants back to do the testing. And that's to simulate real world. Now, there's another thing about it. Some people say, we're only going to train chief of staff, let's say, okay? And then we'll let the chief of staff train his people or her people. That's called train the trainer. So then what you have to do is simulate that train the trainer. So there has to be a certain amount of time in between the trainer being trained, the other people being trained, and then the actual test. Why do I tell you that? It probably doubles the amount of time and probably doubles the amount of cost. Number of participants, you need 15 to 16 participants in each group that you have. A group is a high-risk group, who the end users are. So if you have a surgical device and you're going to have nurses prepare the device, that's one group. And then you have the surgeons who are actually going to use the device. And then you have surgeons that work at a small clinic and do this procedure in their own clinic, and they do everything. How many groups do you have? Nope, you still only have 2. Because what you do is, okay, make sure that the surgeons do everything from end to end. And so you save time and money. But a lot of people think, yeah, well, I must have 3. It's 3. No, you can just do 2. Okay? I have, and you want a representative sample of gender, education, and background, but how many here understand the minimum number of participants or people that you need, or data points that you need to do inferential statistics? Anybody? Well, let me tell you this, 16 is not it. So you're not doing statistics, and we'll get to a minute and tell you what you are doing, but you are not doing statistics. And of course, you have reporting, okay? You then have, as of April 2017, post-market vigilance surveillance. What's the difference? Surveillance is reactive, vigilance is proactive, okay? So vigilance, you now have to, after your device is on the market for about 3 hours, you have to go in and you actually have to observe people using the product in the natural environment, and it's not 15. Okay? It's going to be a relative percentage of the number of people, of installs that you have. And then you have to report that. Who do you report it to? You report it to the people who are doing surveillance, so that you take that data together and then you put it back into your whole design cycle for improvements. They're thinking that what it is that with post-market vigilance, they will be able to prevent adverse events, prevent people having to do CAPAs, etc. Okay? Usually human factors people will do the vigilance, and you'll have whatever customer service, sales, whatever, doing your surveillance. Okay? So, are there major differences? Okay? There is a major difference. HF testing in Europe is for CE mark, not FDA. And HF testing in the US is for the FDA, not CE mark. I've been in this business for over 35 years. And basically what happens is it's like a ping pong table, ping pong ball. First the US makes it stringent, then Europe does. And then the FDA says, oh, wait a minute, we have to do it better. So the FDA makes it more stringent. And now we have the MDR, okay? I want to go through to costs very quickly. okay? If you look, you'll see, and Dan, do they get these slides? Yes, okay. You'll see that if you choose wisely, this is a menu. You have to choose, you have to choose something from column A, something from column B. But let me tell you, if you only choose from column C, where you're only doing a human factors summative test, you're going to wind up doing 2 or maybe 2.5 summative tests. 2 formative tests and 1 summative test costs a lot less than 2 summatives. So we can do 2 formatives and 1 summative for less money than 2 summatives. And guess what? It's less time too, okay? And so there are trade-offs in life. I used to have a lab at a university, and a Langism was, there are trade-offs in life. There are trade-offs, we're always making trade-offs. So try and think of the things that you can do to reduce adverse events and recalls, the cost of complaints, etc. So, human factors is a means of saving costs. It's time and money. It's a way to demonstrate that you have built the right product for the right user, for the right environment. And it's the way to build safe, effective, and profitable products. And I don't know if I have any other time for questions, but if so, 1, 2, any questions?
You have your table from as well.
Yes. So we have a table outside. Any questions, quick ones, fast ones? Did I lose you at the first slide because it's at the end of the day? No? I want to thank you very much.